अस्सलाम वालेकुम ख़वातीन हज़रात, फ़ेस टू फ़ेस में मैं हूँ आफ्ताब इकबाल और बार्सिलोना से हमें ज्वाइन किया है अहमद कमाल ने। अस्सलाम वालेकुम अहमद।
वालेकुम सलाम सर।
आज अहमद हमने गुफ्तगू करनी है, इट्स अ फॉलो अप प्रोग्राम एक्चुअली फॉर अरशद शरीफ। अरशद शरीफ के सिलसिले में कुछ छोटी छोटी नई डेवलपमेंट्स हुई हैं, आप मेहरबानी करके उसका खुलासा बयान कीजिए। और उसके बाद जो आपने एक अहम काम किया है वो ये कि एक केनियन सहाफ़ी के साथ आपने एक एलेबोरेट, एक बड़ी डिटेल्ड गुफ्तगू की है, गो के वो है काफ़ी तवील, बकौल आपके वो कोई 20-22 मिनट की है, जो भी चंद लम्हे आपने उसके साथ गपशप की है, तो हम शायद उसको 2 हिस्सों में चला सकें। मैं कोशिश करूँगा उसको एडिट करके मुख्तसर करने की, अगर वो कैंडे में आ गई तो ठीक, वरना 2 किस्तों में चलाएँगे, क्योंकि मेरा मानना ये है कि 12-13 मिनट से ज़्यादा व्लॉग को होना ही नहीं चाहिए। अब आप सबसे पहले खुलासा बयान कीजिए कि अब तक की अहम डेवलपमेंट्स क्या हैं, जिनमें शहीद की वालदा की तरफ से एक ख़त है जो उन्होंने चीफ़ जस्टिस को लिखा है, फिर उनकी अहलिया मोहतरमा ने ट्विटर के ऊपर 2-4 चीज़ें बारहा कही हैं, आजकल बहुत एक्टिव हैं वो। इन सारी चीज़ों को ज़हन में रखते हुए एक जस्ट बयान कीजिए, ताकि फिर हम बराह रास्त उस इंटरव्यू पे चले जाएं जो आपने उस केनियन सहाफ़ी का किया है।
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। सबसे पहले तो सर मैं बात करूंगा जो उनकी वालदा ने चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ पाकिस्तान को खत लिखा है और उसमें उन्होंने रिक्वेस्ट की है चीफ जस्टिस से कि हुकूमत तो इतनी ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टेड नज़र नहीं आ रही इस तहकीकात में, तो आप कोई हाई सर्विस जज लगाएं और उसमें आप उसमें इंटरेस्ट लें और उसके लिए कोई हाई क्वालिफाइड किस्म का और हाई लेवल का एक
ठीक
कमीशन बनाएं।
ठीक, ये तो
सेकेंडली, उनकी वाइफ ने जो है वो यूएन से और यूएन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से भी रिक्वेस्ट की है, उनको टैग भी किया है अपने ट्विटर से कि यूएन का एक कमीशन बनाया जाए इसकी इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए। और उस उनकी वाइफ ने और भी काफी क्वेश्चन रेज किए, जैसे कि उन्होंने कहा है कि यूएई से जो उसको
जी,
बेदखल किया गया था उनको, तो वो भी उसके पीछे भी गवर्नमेंट की तरफ उन्होंने निशानदेही की है।
वेरी
अगर मैं
इंपॉर्टेंट।
यहाँ पर उनका एक स्पेसिफिक किस्म का शेयर जो उन्होंने अपने ट्विटर हैंडल के ऊपर अपलोड किया, तो वो सब कुछ मेरे ख्याल में समराइज कर देते हैं इस चीज को। उसमें वो कहते हैं कि किताब सादा रहेगी कब तक, कभी तो आगाज बाब होगा, जिन्होंने बस्ती उजाड़ डाली कभी तो उनका हिसाब होगा।
जिन्होंने बस्ती उजाड़ डाली कभी तो उनका हिसाब होगा।
इस शेर में भी अगर हम देखें तो तमाम कहानियों के जो है ना वो मिल जाते हैं, सिरे मिल जाते हैं। सेकेंडली, जो कीनियन मीडिया है उसमें बहुत ज्यादा वो खुद कीनियन मीडिया जो है क्वेश्चन अराइज कर रहा है डिफरेंट पोजीशंस के ऊपर, बुलेट्स के हवाले से, डिफरेंट एंगल्स के हवाले से। उसके अलावा उनकी जो इन्वॉल्वमेंट है उन दो भाइयों तक वो नहीं है, कीनियन सहाफियों की रसाई नहीं है। सेकेंडली, उस अरशद शरीफ के पास जो भी मोबाइल और जो गैजेट्स थे उनकी रसाई किसके पास है उसके बारे में भी कोई ताहाल उनको इतनी इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है। ये जो है मेन मेन जो डेवलपमेंट आई हैं वो ये नजर आई हैं उनकी वालदा के हवाले से और उनकी बेगम के हवाले से। सेकेंडली, अब उसके अलावा मैंने जो इंटरव्यू किया उसमें कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स रेज हुए हैं।
उसका भी जिस्ट बता दीजिए।
जी सर, उसमें फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट था जो सहाफी से मुझे पता चला है वो ये पता चला है कि गवर्नमेंट जो है वो इस दफा जो है वो बहुत सीरियस है इस मामले में।
एक सीनियर पुलिस ऑफिसर ने रिजाइन भी कर दिया।
यस सर, सीनियर पुलिस ऑफिसर ने इस मामले में रिजाइन भी किया है। उनसे मैंने कुछ क्वेश्चन, उनके पिछले जो ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड है उनकी गवर्नमेंट्स का, उनकी पुलिस का, वो भी मैंने उनसे पूछने की कोशिश की है। तो उन्होंने कहा है कि इस दफा जो नई गवर्नमेंट आई है जिसने सितंबर में ही अपना मतलब पोजीशन संभाली है, तो वो इस मामले में बहुत ज्यादा सीरियस है और वहाँ की सहाफी बरादरी भी अपने लिए ये बहुत ज्यादा शेमफुल चीज समझती है कि उनकी वजह से उनकी बदनामी भी हुई है, उनकी कंट्री भी की भी हुई है। और कई वहाँ की सहाफी जो हैं टीवी प्रोग्राम में भी एक आ गया कि क्या अब कीनिया ऐसा मुल्क होगा कि जहाँ पे जो लोग आएंगे तो उनकी टारगेट किलिंग की जाएगी। तो इस तरह का दबाव जो है वहाँ की सहाफी बरादरी अभी बढ़ाने की कोशिश कर रही है वहाँ की गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर। एंड सेकंड,
काश इस तरह का प्रेशर हमारे यहाँ भी डेवलप किया जाता। ऐसा प्रेशर, इसकी अशद ज़रूरत थी। एक तबका है सहाफ़ियों का जो करता चला जा रहा है, और एक तबका ऐसा है जो बिल्कुल साइड पे खड़ा, इज़्ज़त बचा के अपने आप को साइड पे किया हुआ है उसने।
बिल्कुल सर, आप बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं। बल्कि यहाँ पे अगर मैं जिक्र करूँ मुईद की ज़्यादा का, अभी रिसेंटली इस्टेब्लिशमेंट की तरफ से और गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंसेस करके यकीन दहानियां कराई गई हैं सहाफ़ी बरादरी को। और अभी इतना बड़ा इंसिडेंट हुआ है पाकिस्तान का, इतना बड़ा लॉस हुआ है अरशद शरीफ जैसे इंटेलेक्चुअल किस्म के सहाफ़ी का, जो कि मतलब कि बेहतरीन किस्म की सहाफत के ऊपर अबूर रखते थे। उसके बावजूद मुईद पीरजादा जैसे एक बहुत अच्छे सहाफी जो हैं वो भी अभी पाकिस्तान से निकल चले गए हैं, और इरशाद भट्टी के बारे में भी इतलात आ रही हैं कि वो भी पाकिस्तान से जा चुके हैं।
नहीं, वो तो इत्तलात नहीं आ रही, कंफर्म हो गया कि बड़ी देर से जा चुके हैं, कई दिन हो गए। ही इज इन नॉर्वे।
यस सर, बिल्कुल जा चुके हैं, लेकिन कुछ इतलात ये भी आ रही हैं कि उनका कहना था कि मैं सैलाब जदगान के लिए फंड रेजिंग के लिए गया हूं और मैं वापस आ जाऊंगा।
ये एक अलग बात है, ये एक अलग बात है। वापस वापस आ जाना जो है ना, वो तो फिर है ना इसी ड्रिल का हिस्सा। अच्छा जी, इसके अलावा और कोई?
इसके अलावा जस्ट इंटरव्यू के ऊपर जाने से पहले मैं खलीलुर रहमान कमर साहब का भी एक थोड़ी देर पहले मैं एक ट्विटर स्पेस में था, तो वहां पे एक शेर उन्होंने लिखा है अरशद शरीफ साहब के बारे में और कीनिया के हवाले से ही, तो इस इंटरव्यू के हवाले से तो वो मैं पढ़ दूं, तो उसके साथ ही हम चलेंगे उस इंटरव्यू की तरफ।
जी, अता
खलील
कीजिए।
रहमान कमर साहब कहते हैं कि कीनिया, जब तेरी जमीन पर अमावस्यों में भी चांद निकले तो मान लेना, तुझे भी रोशन जो कर गया है वो मेरी धरती का लाडला है।
वाह वाह वाह,
तो
वाह 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 वाह
ये
वाह वाह,
ये था खलील
खूबसूरत।
रहमान साहब थे, और काफी
वेरी
रंजीदा थे आज की स्पेस में, और अभी तक लोग उस करब से नहीं निकल पा रहे जो इतना बड़ा लॉस हुआ है।
उसने, खलील रहमान कमर अपने मकसद में कामयाब हो गया, उसने मुझे भी रंजीदा कर दिया। चलिए हम अब यहीं से पिक करते हैं आपका इंटरव्यू जो आपने केनियन सहाफ़ी का किया।
My first question is that the family of Mr. Arshad Sharif asked for a UN commission to investigate. They also have shown reservation on the Pakistani investigation team. Pakistani team is in Kenya since Sunday. Have you seen any development, and do you think the investigation will lead to a conclusion? What are the latest update on it?
Thank you for hosting me. Well, we have noticed a slow flow of information compared to last week. We are struggling to get much, development since I think Saturday. And what so far we have learned is the team of two Pakistani officials arrived in the country. We understand that they questioned the driver of the vehicle in which Arshad was in, and the brother of the driver who owns the ranch in which the shooting, range where Arshad had been earlier the day before he was shot at.
Okay.
He was shot. We have also established since their arrival on Monday, the team accompanied by the High Commissioner, met the acting Inspector General of Police. That's the police boss in the country.
Okay.
We don't have much details of what they spoke about, but since yesterday, I've not had much from much developments yet.
So now my second question is that many international news agencies mention that these sorts of incidents are not new in Kenya. What is the law and order situation in the country? Will there be any reforms in the Kenya police after this tragic event?
Kenya is not a lawless country. There are laws and regulations that guide each and every sector, including the police itself.
Okay.
Already, but like in any other country, there are indiscipline or other illegal activities that be happening. Those sort of activities have been ongoing. We have been ongoing. We've had cases of disappearances, abductions, by a certain section of the police. So far, there is an agency that oversees, the excesses of the police service. This institution is called the Independent Policing Oversight Authority. This authority last week, reported that 112 people had either been disappeared or killed by the police. All right. Since the new administration in Kenya took over on September 13th, the President William Ruto actually said that these cases have to come to an end. Since then, to answer your question, is that there is a team that is called the Special Services Unit, which was within, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. This is a directorate within the police service. So this unit has been disbanded. Most of the officers in that team have been disarmed. And At least 9 of them are actually facing charges in court already. But I have to make a distinction that the police officers who were allegedly involved in this shooting are from what we call the General Service Unit. They're different from the DCI, right? So yes, there have been ongoing reforms within the police service. The head of the DCI has since resigned, forced to resign. The Inspector General of Police has already resigned, and that's why the team yesterday was meeting the acting Inspector General of Police. But the former Inspector General of Police resigned on medical grounds. The former DCI boss was forced to resign. That is we know, because there have been a lot of disappearances. There was an NGO that was saying that they have recorded so far 235 cases of disappearances of civilians, either suspects or otherwise, and only 30 of them have been able to return home. So we have had a problem within the police service, and already there are ongoing activities that might lead to a professional service. So yes, something is happening.
Exactly. We will hope for the best.
Yes, sure.
Very, very crucial and very important question from my side. A bullet was found during the second post-mortem of the late Arshad Sharif, which was done in Pakistan. After the first one done in Kenya, it is rather shocking as it goes against the SOPs. What do you think about why such negligence was done by Kenyan side? What is your opinion?
This was actually captured, according to the Nation, in the pathologist who did this. The second operation in Pakistani. And within the story, the government pathologist who did the initial, process, indicated that it is important to also indicate the entry of that bullet. So I'm not quite informed whether this was actually, negligence or what the true position is. So I might not be able to comment further than that. But in the story that you cite or the story in which this was reported in Kenya, the government pathologist was questioned about it or asked about it, and he said there was a need to also indicate the entry point of the bullet. So I don't know how it came to happen.
But this one new aspect is very sad. I think so.
And I think it is actually, if there's actually a bullet that was discovered, it would actually help a lot with the investigations, because it will help, with the ballistic report that was supposed to or has been conducted in Kenya. So I think it's a plus to these investigations, and that it is with the Pakistani authorities might add to the investigations.
I think so. It will create a lot of mess in investigation in future.
Well, it really depends how close the two authorities will actually work in this investigation. I understand there's a lot of speculation or suspicion within the Pakistani community, but I really hope that the two authorities actually work to solve this murder.
You are right. So move on the next question. The police and Kenyan government changed their stance many times, and despite the promise by Kenyan government to go to the bottom of the case. In your opinion, how serious the Kenyan government is about this whole matter?
This could be difficult because the government, through its position and through the position of the president, has actually said that he will get to the bottom of the matter. So it was quite intriguing when we also learned the police trying to generate another narrative, which honestly did not make much sense, because what made sense was the initial report recorded in the police station. If then there was anything else that happened and it was not recorded in the initial police report, then there are doubts about that narrative. And the initial narrative, unless the second narrative has other people who actually, or witnesses who actually saw that happen, then it's difficult. And interestingly, the cop that is said to have been injured has not been, we have not seen him. He has not, we don't know we have not seen him. We don't know his situation. So while that might be their, their other narrative, it's not quite believable, if I might use that. It's not quite believable. And to also answer to a question is, yes, the government might be serious about it, but it also needs to get the commitment of the Pakistani government to also sustain pressure on it, so that it does not go underwater, as we have seen in previous cases in the country.
Yeah, exactly. So historically, the police has been involved in such incident. Why such police personals were not punished, except the recent, as you mentioned, 2 Indian citizens matter when some police officers were arrested. In Arshad Sharif case, how many people are arrested from the police and outside the police in relevance to the case?
We have had convictions of police officers who either killed or attempted to kill. There have been convictions, but they are not many. The truth is, they are not many. And I think that one of the biggest problem is that these officers normally cover for each other. So the investigations part, is already disrupted with. So I think that has been one of the biggest problems, because there was a case in which a lawyer and the client and the driver were actually killed by four police officers who were charged with this killing. 3 were found guilty, 1 was acquitted. So yes, there are cases where we have had minimal successful prosecutions and convictions, but the bigger picture is many actually get away with it. It could, point a lot to the rot that is in the police service. But now we at least have the IPOA, the agency that I mentioned earlier, that checks on the police officers, and we have been seeing a lot of improvements in the number of police officers who were actually prosecuted. And this body is about 10 years. It came with a new constitution in 2013. We have been seeing progress as compared to the past. The police also have an independent, investigative unit within itself. And from it, we have been seeing some few but quite, important steps. We hope that with this case, then we'll be able to, ensure that the people who were involved in this killing, whether it is mistaken identity or whatever they say, they are actually brought to book.
We hope, inshallah, we hope for the best for this result, because this is a very big loss in our journalist community in Pakistan in whole. Obviously, it is a very shameful and very bad thing also out of our Kenyan government.
Very, very shameful, and it hits to the reputation of the Kenya police, not only locally but internationally. It's it's embarrassing, and my condolences to the family, friends, and the journalist community in Pakistan and across the world.
Exactly, you are right. So now move on. The next question I have you come to get a direct contact with the 2 brothers who are hosting Mr. Arshad Sharif, and to obtain their view on the whole incident?
No, I haven't, and it has become quite difficult. What they are saying is, for their personal security, our crimes reporter has attempted to talk to them. It has not. They still don't know where they are. But he spoke to the family.
I am just interrupting you. Whether they are arrested or not, they are in police custody. They are not.
Well, we don't know if it's in police custody, but the police have them, and they have actually recorded statements
Okay.
from them.
This is very interesting point.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know about their places where they are, so it's very alarming.
Yeah, it's the police will say, okay, they are fine. We have spoken to them. The team from Pakistani has also spoken to them, but they don't say where they are. They don't say where they are. But
And where is the devices of the Arshad Sharif, mobiles and laptop and other devices they are usually used in their recordings?
well, I can't speak that from a primary information. I can't speak to that, but I would expect that these gadgets are in the custody of the police or the authorities, but I cannot say with surety where they are.
So these answering from your side, you are a journalist, and there are many journalists. They are also speaking like same. So these are just alarming things. Obviously, if journalists did not
Yes,
know
and
about the progress of the case, then this is creating a lot of questions. I think so.
exactly. And as I started, I alerted you. I started by saying that the flow of information since Saturday has slowed, and it's become very difficult to actually get much details. You might have noticed also the rate of reporting within Kenyan press has also gone down. It's not uh, it's not on every it's not the main story or a continuous story. So, and that points to the difficulties that have been the journalists are encountering in getting more information. So what we actually now waiting for is what the team will say and when these officers who are involved in the shooting will actually be taken to court. That is actually what has been people are waiting, because regardless of the questioning, then it should lead to people being prosecuted, right? So then if that doesn't happen, then we actually have a problem.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I move on the next question that I have. Don't you think this incident have put Kenyan in a very difficult place, especially its repute? What Kenyan government will do in the future to stop such incident from happening, and what the Kenyan journalists' role have been so far in pushing the government to take a stand on it?
Well, as we mentioned, it's quite a blemish. It's quite it taints the reputation of the Kenyan police. I can't say for sure. I mean, and as we said, inshallah, some of these reforms that are undergoing, or the Kenya police is undergoing, the leadership of the new Inspector General who is coming in, the new DCI who has come in place. This is a Director of Criminal Investigations who has also met other stakeholders and NGOs, and they have agreed that there will be no longer disappearances and extrajudicial killings. We only hope that the goodwill of these senior police officers will actually, be implemented. Beyond that, we as journalists is to sustain pressure on government to ensure such a case is actually concluded. There is always pressure, to ensure that, this story does not end without, us knowing who was culpable and that kind of stuff. But the problem is us journalists are limited because, we cannot conduct investigations that actually then lead to, prosecution. That is the limitation, because now we cannot turn ourselves as investigators of crime and prosecutors. Our job will be to sustain pressure on government that the promise that will get to the bottom of this matter is actually, delivered. So that's the best we can do.
Yeah. Again, inshallah. So the next question I have, in your opinion, by looking at all the evidence so far and the circumstances, was it a targeted killing, And what do you think, who could possibly be behind it? Because some prominent voices in Pakistan linked to some familiar elements from the country.
Well, honestly, I might not know who is behind that, and maybe we leave that to the investigators. But as I had mentioned in a different interview, is given the scenario that the police vehicle was in, you would see there were more bullet holes on the left side of the car where Sharif was seated. And it's also interesting that the driver was not injured.
So my last question is that before closing this session, Arshad Sharif was working on a Netflix, as you know, Netflix money laundering documentary. Do you think that may also have some linkage to his murder?
Well, no, it's who then would be, the question is then, who is the beneficiary of Arshad Sharif's killing? How does now his killing and this documentary link? I might not know what the motive. I think if the investigators get, establish the motive, then it will be very easy to see whether this documentary, which we have only been seeing the trailer, is actually linked, because we might not know, other than what I have seen on the trailer of the people that were interviewed and the issues that they had covered. We don't know much about the entire documentary. So I think investigations will establish this, hopefully that they're actually solid and effective investigations that actually are up to seek justice or deliver justice on this. Otherwise, we will never know what actually happened to Arshad if the investigations are not conclusively done by both governments. That's the only way then we'll be able to know what the motive was and who are behind the killing, for what purpose, and who benefited. But I think these are some of the possibilities that people out of reactions, out of emotions, out of speculation that they're throwing in. And it's important to ask this question so that we can explore as much as possible, and in trying to get to the bottom of it. So I don't have there are no people that I have in mind might be linked to the killing, but I really don't think there is Kenyan, unless he had other interests that we don't know in Kenya. I don't think there's motive within the Kenyan fraternity to eliminate a Pakistani journalist who we understand was done in the flesh of the Pakistani government. So I don't see, as of now, any incentive to eliminate Arshad coming from Kenya or whatever quarters. I might not know what dealings he might have in Kenya. I might not know how busy, because I understand he was actually running for his safety, So, and probably by coming to Kenya, he had established friends here. He had done his own homework and thought he's safe around here. So I really wouldn't know if this documentary is linked to that, and probably hoping that these investigations will establish that.
There is any message you want to deliver to the journalist society of Pakistan, or you want to deliver any message to Arshad Sharif family?
Yeah, condolences to the family and friends and the entire Pakistani nation, and to all journalists of the world. Let's get to the bottom of this for Arshad Sharif and for our own safety and the safety of every journalist across the world.
Yeah, thank you very much, Eliud KB, to joining us and for your precious time. We will contact with you later if we see any progress in later. We will contact with you. And again, thank you very much for your precious time. Allah Hafiz.
All right. Okay. Good night.
Good night.